Let's move on to this guy, and that's why we've got those reference things up there. So he's like, yo, dude. He's like, he's trying to reach in there and grab some of those bits. He's like, man, I only got one hand, darn it. Now this was mostly phthalo green, but what we did not have last time around, we didn't have this. Let's see what happens with this here. Let's throw this out on the palette here. There we go. Now I also think we're going to do a much more targeted pre-glaze with this. Let's find ourselves just any old 1-2 brush right here. And we're going to just start straight away here. We're going to be mixing some phthalo into all of our pre-glaze. So that's a little phthalo green mixed into some ivory black here. Ooh, to a little indigo blue into that as well. And now, as we get further away from that, we're going to turn it more brownish. So that is our Van Dyke brown that's working its way into there. Just make this stuff darker around the edge out here, just really quick like, so that doesn't interfere with what we want to be doing. So Sakaya, it's a hype train. So when people are cheering and, well, basically when people are being super generous, which is what all of the folks there were doing, just being fantastically generous, it generates something called a hype train. And that just means that people are really supporting you, and Twitch likes it when there's engagement and support. And obviously it really does help the streamer a whole bunch. Yep, I'm going to do that in just a second. I think now that we have reached that, I'm just going to complete my pre-glaze here, and then we will move on and do some film noir. So there's that. Now let's move on here to something else, like some burnt umber. Yeah, some burnt umber here. But still got some of that greenishness going. A little more burnt umber here. We'll make this darker. What did I do on the inside here? Okay, so the inside was also on the darker side as well. This is another reason why I do like having these cheap, nasty brushes here, because I can just kind of shove that into all the crevasses there and not have to worry about just, well, messing up a good brush. A little more of my burnt umber up here. Let's get that onto his skin. And remember, Book of Wappel, Chapter 37 was that say, things are just going to have to be messy before they can be neat. That's a little bit of barite green right there. And this sort of completes what we're going to do for some pre-glaze. Then we're going to leave this on here for just a bit, because we would like some of that phthalo green to stain this. All right. So we're going to let that go. Do a little bit of, actually, for fun's sake, let's do this. Two very different sets of colors. What happens when the color is not a factor? Oh, look. There is no orange, there is no green. There's just light and dark. And both of these, I mean, you can tell there's a light source here. You can tell how it's affecting this. You can tell how we've got the light sources here. Oh, thanks, Avocado Kids. I think it's going to be fun to try out the fluorescent green on this, because, again, I never had a chance to give that a try. With the oils, I've on one of these guys yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, one thing I do want to try here, I'm going to use this as a blending brush here. That's better. There we go. Okay, I saw that, wanted to smooth that out. Let's go back to our sponges here. Sponge away some of this. You can see how the greens are changing. It's warmer up there. It's cooler down here. It's almost like de facto object source lighting already. And for folks that want to be, I mean, what if this is all you were interested in your army? Was just basically doing something like this. And you know, you could just throw a few little highlights over this. This is what we did with the, oh gosh, not the neck, well, sort of with the Necrons, but the Ossiarchs. Now look at this. Already, look what that does. There are some folks that would just have a little couple of highlights on here. They would be just thrilled to have that because it took seconds. Just a few minutes, maybe a few seconds here and there, boom. You can see how much of that paint's coming off. Here, let's do our last little bit here in some of the harder to reach areas. Like so. So very quickly establishing what it is that we want to do here. Where's my, I'm just looking for my little filbert here that always keeps getting lost in the shuffle. What the lazy Izzy? Hey Izzy, how you doing? Thank you so much. He pops up for that cheer. He's like, there's no ghosts. There's no ghosts. And he's like, whoa. And I was like, dude, let's just shake hands. He's like, I got a sword. Let's shake the sword. Now let's take some of that quick dry, fast drying white and let's start to put that around in a few areas where maybe going to do something like this. So we'll try side by side here. So some of the fast drying white, but we have to make that brush as dry as possible. And let's see what's going to happen here. Let's see what we're going to get out of this. Oh look, you can see the green is already starting to affect our paint as we add this here. Got to go back and get some fresh, and again this is the matte white, which is kind of handy I suppose because phthalo green is one of those shinier colors. Oh, look at that. Nah, just imagine you got a whole bunch of these guys to paint and you say, oh man, I don't really want to be painting all of those all that time. Well, all of a sudden now, how much time is it really taking here? Now obviously we will be doing much more, but for folks that just need to get through this stuff fast, who maybe only have a couple hours to paint every night, potentially this could get you through one of these armies right quick. As Izzy says, the good physical distancing tip, shake the sword. Just grab the tip. Here, let's get some lights onto this. We will do some glazing onto that as well. We are also going to get some yellow into this. But I did want to start off with a little bit of that flat white and let that mix its way in there. Let's get some lighting on our base here now, just like we did here. So you can see it on that base. I'll do that right over here. Ah, look at that. Pretty much the same thing there in just a few seconds. Now let's see, Baron, that's what I just plan on doing, at least until I have a new army ready. I mean, look at this, it's so darn easy. It's insane how easy this is. Now up here, I am going to get some of my, I'm going to get some yellow into this though. Here, let's take a little bit of our cadmium yellow here. Let's get some of that off of the brush. Let's hold these guys side by side. Let's start to change our color a little bit there. And you can see how it gets smoother and smoother. The color changes from that cooler green up to a somewhat warmer green here. Get the top part of his robe here, and we'll do some, we're going to be doing some glazing of things. It's not just going to be only this, well, what looks like a dry brush. There will be more. There's more coming. Oh, let's see. Can take your time once you yes, that is the whole. I know, Baron, you probably heard me say that so much on the videos, where just get it to a point where you can play just like our Ossiarchs right here. This was just after the first. This is the whole rest of the unit is to this stage. We haven't put their interference blues on there yet, but there's some folks that would be delirious that just show up to a game with this. This is barely just step 1 finished. It really does, because with the oils in it does such smooth blending for you just by, well, I hate to say by default, but it is kind of by default almost, because it's not looking like a dry brush. It really, like you say, it looks like you have spent hours and hours and hours on it when you really just haven't. It's kind of like magic. I'm just going to smooth some of this out here too. I mean, look at this. And then we'll get some of our blue up into that blade as well, but you can see how much darker that is. That's all okay, because I'm going to go back into my umber here. So now I'm adding a little bit of dark again. Find to the top here where we scraped away some of that paint. Okay. We'll get some of this brownish color now into this part of the structure. See that? You thought that was just going to be green. It's going to be more than just the green. Much more than just the green. Yeah, I haven't really seen too many of these guys painted lately. I think they're for the... I remember a while back there was tons and tons of these. Now you don't see quite so many of these anymore. We'll get that just a bit darker in a few places, or maybe even get some of our brownish color onto our base here. Big old brush. Obviously, working relatively fast. We can darken some of this down, because that's not really going to catch too much in the way of light. Can darken some of this down. Also taking some of our Van Dyke brown here. Let me see. Don't look if mine look as good as fast. It's still hours for me. Still learning the oils. Well, that's that is it. It's because you'll see me doing stuff 2 weeks from now that I'm not even doing right now. Sakaya, I'm trying to test these out. I was sent a number of brushes. Now, where's the... I just already missed... There it is. I used to love using filbert brushes back in the day before we found the number 8 round craft brush. And I was sent a number of brushes. The same company that I'm working with the oil paints on, they sent me a bunch. This is just like a hand-painted thing on the handle here. And they wanted me to torture test these things. And the only way I can torture test them is to actually be using them. and I told him that I would try them out. So this thing has seen a ton of action. This is just a regular old synthetic filbert brush. And now I'm trying to, so their sable brushes were a disaster. I told him, yeah, put those things away. Those are a disaster. But the synthetics have promise. Now, anyone that knows me knows, and they send me brushes that are sables. They know there's a very high percentage that I will say, yeah, you don't want me talking about these things on camera. So that's why we're seeing some of these, is we're just trying to give these a test for that other company there. Now we want to get some of our Terra Rosa into here. So let's do some of that. Now let me see. Oh, glad. Oh yeah, Crafty Fox. We still have a whole nother miniature after this one. We still got to get this guy painted. Nobody leaves, nobody sleeps until this guy is also done. Let's see. Is it best to put in bottles in small batches? Oh, backlog. Here is one that I made over. This is almost 3.5 years old. I'm going to just give it a little shake here. Now, of course, this is in a nail polish container. But look at that. That's just as good now as when I first put it in there 3 years ago. That's just a little bit of raw umber in there. So yeah, this these things are very airtight. So it should be almost as good in here as it is in the tube. Yeah, we were going to call, I think we were going to call that the, instead of the Wappelicious brand of oil paint, that was going to be the Wappel Luscious brand. That was going to be very special exclusive in the nail polish containers. Because that's like ultra hyper fashionable right there. So Terra Rosa, doing it in a glazy way here. So let's get some more glazes of our Terra Rosa into this. A bit, there we go. We're even going to perhaps chuck a little bit of Terra Rosa onto here real quick. In a few places, then we're going to hit our blue over the top of that as well. Now, there are some other areas that are going to get some Terra Rosa here. A little more here. Oh, on our metal iron gate thingy here. Oh, let's see. The frail bristle, breaker of ferrules and snapper of handles. Yes, we have done those things. I've definitely broken some handles. Now, not always in frustration, but I have had to deliver a lot of bad news. So we were just talking, I think last night, about how I got one of these. I think this was $5-6 or so. And this thing cannot do what this can do at about 25 cents. So it's insane that something that costs that much less is that much worse, or that much better, than something that costs so much. It's crazy. Now, most of it does have to do with durability, of course. That is a big part of it. All right. We're going to respect the umber now, and we're going to shoot some umber into this. Yeah, a purple or pink. Well, let's see. We'd have to put a quinacridone magenta in there. Huh. We certainly won't put cobalt violet in there. It should be the perfect color, but no, we're not putting any cobalt violet into there. Cobalt violet does not deserve the Wappel Luscious treatment at all. Only the best gets the Wappel Luscious treatment. So we're going to do a little bit of our blending here. Even take our finger back to our little filbert here. And I'm thinking indigo should do the trick here. A little more. Nice and dry. Nice and dry. Already starting to shift the color there a little bit away from that greenish color to something a little bit more like our metal. And now we just got to start getting some lighter areas in there. So our background metal is about the same. Now there's your link to it. Let me see. Yeah, there's no names or anything like this. Like I said, this was just painted. Someone put this paint on here so that they know what these are. I have no idea. They just sent me the brushes. That is not uncommon at all, is that just stuff is sent to me and I have no idea what it is. They didn't even tell me they were sending the brushes. Oh, hey, Kit Quartz, how are you doing? Oh, you know what? Let's get, just a smidge of our Prussian blue in there. I mean, a little bit. Ah, there we go. Just a little bit of that, and then we'll just grab something to use as a blending brush here. Let's use this. Let's do some softening here. Nice little bit of blending there. Let's do the same over on this side. This is why we don't have to worry about doing layers. Hashtag new layers. So Kit Quartz, I hope everything is all good. Let's do a touch of blending over here now before we go back into this. With some colors I guess you could say would be more opaque. So we're starting to bring that umber down into here. Let's bring the umber down this way. Always respect the umber. Let's grab this guy here. You know what? I'm going to stick him. It'd be easier to hang on to him if he was on one of our Dead Reaper paint jars. Oh, hey, Flying Monkey Painting, how are you doing? Let's see, I've been oil painting and I like the blends, but I have trouble with doing fine detail. Flying Monkey, that's something that just kind of comes with practice, because when I first started doing the oil paints, I expected to only do 40% of it in oils and do all the details with the acrylics, only to find that the details are way easier to do with the oils in the end. But that's just something that's going to come with practice and just handling the oils more and more. It really does. It will just take some practice, getting used to them. It's getting used to the thickness, the thinness, all that kind of stuff is going to matter. Now here we're going to take some of that. There's our phthalo green again. And once again, we're not, you can see that we are not, we're just going to do this, and then we're going to do just some blending here. It's also, the key thing is less paint, and you only learn how to do the less paint thing the longer and the more you do it. So stuff like this is not something I never envisioned being able to do this when I first started doing the stuff with the oils. It's just, it's come with that time, that knowledge of, oh, so this is how the oil paint works. This is how it's going to react. You know, I'm just going to use this blending brush here. And this is another way that we can really control the amount of paint that is on here by not doing a whole ton of layers. Because when I watch people working with the oils, especially their first couple of times, well, sometimes their first several times, they are putting on 3 to 7 times more paint than I am. Sometimes even more than that. I mean, it is just, it looks like they are using a plaster trowel to put the stuff on there in comparison. But that's only something that you learn sometimes the hard way, sometimes the easy way. For me, usually learning happens the hard way. So see that nice quick little blending right there? What that does is it saves time, it saves paint, right? And it also means that there's not that much paint being piled onto here. Less and less paint, less is more, and more is always way too much. So you can see it takes no time at all to get some nice, smooth, slippery blends here. Timing is another thing. So we're trying to leave this as long as possible. Before we get in here and start doing some of our rusting, we're trying to let that just have a little chance to set. Now let's do something on the handle of that spear. Can't quite be that green. Where's something different? Oh, yeah, let's just use this crazy kind of off-white blue here. We'll let that blend. All of a sudden, staff looks a little bit different than everything else now. Let's grab a little bit of our umber here. Wee bit of our umber. How's about a little bit of our cadmium yellow and our umber mixed together? A little more of that umber. So a little bit of that again on the end of the handle of the spear. What about the skin tone here? We got some bluish gray, but we also do have some of that same yellowish brown color. We also need to start getting some lights on his face. I think we have a lot of the undertones, those darks added in. How about we do this with some of our lighter colors here? You also learn just how much do you thin that paint as well. Let me see. Let me just get caught up on things. Let's see. Fantasy asks, once you finish a painting step, like the horse you showed earlier. Oh, Fantasy World, it's there is no just kind of leaving it dry. I'm just setting it aside for a few minutes here and there, because all of these things are very much wet into wet. So if you watch some of the past VODs, like check out some of the Song of Ice and Fire, some of that Dothraki cavalry, where I'm painting all four of the horses and the bases and the riders all in the same stream. It's all being done wet into wet. But with the oils, if you just give it 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're going to have fewer of the brush strokes. You're going to have just an easier time blending. This is not like the vehicle painting approach that some of the historical guys do, where they're letting things dry between layers or anything like that. We just kind of keep forging ahead here. And do things the Izzy way. That's shameless self-promotion.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for that follow. Let's see. Oh, it's Lock and Load. Thank you so much for the follow. That is appreciated. Now I'm going to try and get some of his teeth right here. And see how I'm able to get that lighter tone in there? Well, that's because it was probably a good 10-ish minutes ago when I last put paint down. Maybe 15 minutes ago. It also will depend on some of the colors. There are some colors that are just a little bit tricksy. We found that out about the Cobalt Violet. And then there's other colors like Terra Rosa and Indigo. They can just cover anything at any time and they don't care. Fanchon Red is another one of those. So it will also depend on which paint that you are using. No, let's see, Crafty Fox. Oh well, Crafty Fox. It's important because the questions, like that really good question there, that that might be something that's on another person's mind, but maybe they just I wanted to ask a question, can't quite phrase it, and if someone asks a really great question like that, now that actually helps everybody else, and it's great because when you guys ask those questions, then when I go to make tutorial videos, well, now I know what the questions are, the most common questions, right? Which is great because now I can kind of anticipate those questions. And if I can anticipate the questions, then I can almost sort of answer those or create a tutorial or something like that that's going to just kind of answer the question at the same time, sort of before the question pops up. That's kind of how we came up with the phrase of dry brushing. People said, well, you're not really dry brushing the oils. I said, yeah, but it's kind of like you were doing a dry brush with acrylics. And a lot of people said, wait a minute, okay. They gave that a try, and boy, did it make a difference. Now, you know what? I need a little touch of phthalo green into this. Little touch of phthalo green. Oh, I didn't actually put any of the fluorescent green out here yet. Wow, we haven't even used that yet. So now I'm just going to try and get me some of our nice yellow stuff here. Yes, and folks, you can check out Armored Wolf on Instagram and see, well, dice bags. We're always talking about the dice bags, but there is definitely more than just the dice bags at Armored Wolf. Ooh, look at that. Look what that's doing. That is a nice, juicy, bright yellowish phthalo right there. And I didn't even put any, if I put a little touch of white in there, now it gets that much more opaque. So this is that timing, right? We haven't really messed with this in quite a while. Well, quite a while is maybe 20 minutes or so. So this is what I mean, where I just kind of let that paint sit there like this. We haven't messed around with this really very much in a while, which means we can kind of go back in here and start to play with this a little bit here. Now this, I'm not going to try and blend this right away. This is another case because I can tell just how liquid that paint is. I need to give it a good 5-ish, 15 minutes before I try to go back in there and play around with it again. So same thing, I'm just going to place some of these colors here, then we'll go back. We will manipulate those some more. Well, thanks for joining, Crafty Fox. I appreciate that, and I hope that your next stream is fabulous too. Oh yeah, let's get a little bit of that nice kind of yellowish green. A few parts here. Yeah, like here. Ah, look what that's doing. Oof, yeah. So let's turn this around. Let's add a little bit more of our nice yellowish green over on this side here, as we sometimes do. Oh yeah, up around his eye for sure. Maybe a little bit on his skin, not too much. Now we don't want to lose some of that nice bluish green either. Although I think when we start to hit it with something like that fluorescent green, that will also cool things down as well. So again, that's another place where we're just going to let those hang out. We're not going to mess with that too much, not right away. All right, we'll set you off to the side here so that we can just get a little better hold on this. Now what I generally do with the fluorescent orange is actually work as much as I can without it, and then sort of come back with it. Now I'm going to get just a touch of the, a little smidge of that yellowish phthalo down here. Just a pinch of it. But let's do some phthalo here that's a little bit more bluish. And that's just gonna, all that means is I'm just going to take some of that flat matte white there, just mix it with the phthalo straight up, and that is so much more bluish.
So say we all.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Chainsaw Happy. Thank you so much. That is appreciated. A 5-month subscription. Thank you so much. That is appreciated. And Peleus appreciates it too. And he's like, stop shaking my hand. Ah, Queez, a 6-month subscription. Thank you. That helps a bunch. He's like, man, you stop doing that. I'm going to sick him on you. So you come for the miniature painting, stay for the puppet shows. He's like, wait, don't leave. Why did he leave? He never stays. No, our Avocado Kids is back because the rice must already be done. And thanks again for that sub. That was really, I guess Amazon really loves the long-term subscriptions, because I never really saw the whole sub points thing until I said, well, what are sub points? What's different about? Ooh, speaking of difference, let's see how much that shows up now at this point. If we were to do this, yeah, now no temperature difference. Now you got lights and darks, which you don't have anymore. No temperature difference. So that is just so much more bluish by comparison. So much more by comparison. Wow, yeah, let's get some more of this nice little bluish green down here. And then let's go track down our fluorescent green here in a second. Ah, oh, look at that. You can see that nice little transition there between the yellow and that more bluish green. And we got a long ways. Look at how dark this is. Can you see? Okay, I'm going to put this next to the white over here. My goodness. This that looks so light, that's almost like a level 4. If you're going 1 to 10, 1's the lightest. That's like a 4 or 5. That's like in the middle of the value scale. That's how dark that is by comparison. Because now we just threw in a little bit of lighter green here. We'll let that mix too. Again, a little, see that brush stroke there? That circular brush stroke. If it's just a flat brush stroke, see, we're doing this. That circular brush stroke again. It's just a flat brush stroke. All that's going to do is just basically wipe away the paint. But this is, I press down and sweep. It's almost like a dual action brush stroke. Dual action as we welcome in Thistle. Speaking of action, there's a man of action. So Thistle, welcome in. I hope that the weekend is, well, it's off to a good start, if not a chill, relaxing start, or super productive start, or all of the above. Now, this stuff has been here a little bit. I think we can take Mr. Blending Brush and play around with that. Yes, Armored Wolf right now is doing some stitching. Actually, did you already finish the stitching on that bag that you showed me? But yeah, there's some stitching on some dice bags that's happening over there on Armored. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Look what that just did. Nice little blend right there. But we're doing that same, see that circular brush stroke again? It's a dual action brush stroke, baby. It's almost like an airbrush. That's why it looks like it's been done by an airbrush, because it has a dual action brush stroke. See, this is why the questions are helpful, because they have to come up with some kind of an understandable term. Dual action brush stroke, baby. I'm going to copyright that. Now we're going to see if we can do some of those rusty things there. Let's start off with a darker rust color, shall we? And that's probably going to mean Terra, Rosa, and Umber. And also some of our thinner. Not a ton. Not a ton of the... Ooh, just a little bit of our ivory black in there too. So dark rust is what we're looking for. Can you... yeah. Nice and dark here. Sometimes I go back to my thinner to thin it down even more. But see, I'm just touching it to this. If I do this, it's literally going to just wipe away the paint that's there. We really don't want that. That is not what we want to see happening. Let's see those nice little dots of rust there. Oh, Nosferatu has to take off. Thanks again for all the bits and the subs there, Nosferatu. That is appreciated. Getting all the way to the level 5 hype train. Yeah, oh, Thistle, you missed the level 5 hype train. It was like the level 5 hype train and then some. So that was really cool. We had a Blitzkrieg. We had all the fun stuff going on. All right, let's spin this over to this side, and we'll do a similar thing over here. Let's see. Make sure to wire hose robots correctly. Otherwise, there's plenty of movies that show how bad things can get. Let's get... Oh, that might be... Wow. Okay, even that wasn't too much. I'm surprised. But hey. Nice. We can go much lighter than this as well. But for now, we also don't want to wipe out all of the metal on this thing because, well, I just don't want it to be all encrusted here. This is another case where we're going to leave this sit here at least.
Little hobbits, spark my gun.
At least about 5-10 minutes. We got Loki Lou. Thank you so much for the follow. That is appreciated. Now, we're going to go back over here. We're going to take some of our, well, that dark brown and green that we made. Let's do a little bit of glazing again on this part over here. So Thistle, we were working on one of our Warcry over here, one of our Corvus Cabal, doing the shinies again. So that was our first one. That we're hitting some more of our Warcry stuff here, and then last but not least, we have to do this one right here. So it's going to be a white wolf with a crow cloak. So I figured, well, that's kind of appropriate. Oh, we got Spider-Man in here. How are you doing? I had to do the grocery shopping. Yes, a Blitzkrieg. Well, hopefully, I don't know. This is still the regular. I mean, it's only 8:57 here. I mean, there's hours yet to go. We can always have another Blitzkrieg. We can have a late night Blitzkrieg. I don't care. I'm always up for a Blitzkrieg. So basically, now of course, this is so weird because I'll never forget the first I was watching Genuine Vision stream, and all of a sudden people started doing the bits and the cheering, and there was a hype train, and I had no idea what was going on. And it was even crazier in Genuine stream because you think my little sound bites, when those go off, he had little dancing things on the screen. The chat went crazy with all these graphics and stuff. So yeah, I don't have anything like that. But it was sort of like somebody just hit a button on a computer and everything was taken over by a virus or something like that. It literally looked like his stream had been hacked or something. But that was a bunch of people that were throwing cheers and bits at him. So some ways you can support the streamers is to do things like cheering bits, or there's cheering, there's your bits, and there's the gift subs that Armored Wolf and Nosferatu, and so many folks were being real generous. They were giving out the gift subs there, and all of those are ways that help out the streamer. So, and it's engagement, which Twitch likes. So that's kind of it sort of rewards the people. They're sort of being acknowledged for all of their kind contributions to the stream and the channel. So it's sort of a community building type of thing. Now we'll get some of our darks here, but Terra Rosa time, right? Terra Rosa time. So let's get some of that. Ooh, yeah, we'll just bring it over here. We will can do the glazy thing with this. If a couple of gift subs and bits kick off at the same time, it starts the hype train, or in order to encourage the others. Oh yeah, Thistle. Now that's these. Where the heck are they? Whoops, wrong guy. So yeah, that's these guys right here. So that's sanding sticks are your friend. Yeah, where's my sanding sticks? Of course, I don't have any here, but let me see if I can grab some. Oh, I've got one right here. So sanding sticks like this are your friend. Start with the rougher ones and then go to the smoother grit. You just take the variety packs. Actually, I got to get some more of those now. I had done so much, I've got to actually get some more. So see what's happening here on the top of them there. We're going to do some more of this, more glazy stuff here. And Terra Rosa works fantastic for rust on vehicles too. I'll show you some vehicles where we use that for rusting. And with the gaps, you've heard me talking about the glue, green stuff glue. That is another really important way. All right, so I want to respect the umber here. I'm looking what we've got over there. Yes, that's better. That's a little better. Here, let's get some of that darker. Again, that's our burnt umber sneaking its way into there. And this we can do a little. See, we can actually blend that straight away. So if you do the glue, green stuff glue method, that essentially kind of what would you say? It mitigates those gaps because you're already literally filling the gap. And the green stuff adds a lot of extra strength because it coagulates or crystallizes with the glue. I actually do have a video now. It's not the Wrath of Kings figures. It's a couple of Dark Sword figures, but there's actually a video on YouTube that shows how you can use that green stuff glue method. Now we're just going to get some more dark here. Oh yeah, we need some more dark over here too. Wow, definitely use some more dark there. All right. See if we can sneak in some even a little bit more dark here. The only way to have light is to make sure that you've got dark. And we're still waiting a few more minutes on this to be able to do some blending on those. You know, I'm going to grab me another one of these here. Let's get some stuff done here with our bluish greenish color here. Oh, thanks, Baron. That's something we learned out of desperation years ago. A lot of it had to do with Forge World stuff, which just was about as nasty as you could possibly get. And it just saves time trying to fill gaps later. It makes the thing that much stronger, right? Because you are filling in the gaps as you glue it together. You also don't have to sit there like a fool holding it with your hands, right? Just sitting there. We did that to glue the Fell Beast. Yeah, just look at last night. Look at last night's episode. That's how we glued the Fell Beast to that base and got him to stick there. Otherwise, yeah, he wouldn't have been sticking to that. Well, he would have been, but he would have fell off right away. If that was just super glue, not a chance. Not a chance. Let's see, 45 minutes. I've only managed to get 2 oil cores in dropper bottle. Oh, backlog. That's about. I think I've got it a little bit faster than that. But yeah, take your time. Don't rush that process, because what it does is it actually helps you familiarize yourself with that color. So yeah, it takes me. I mean, it doesn't take me an hour for one color, but it certainly is not some like, 10 minutes, boom, there's a color. When I was filming the videos, each color took somewhere around at least 13 or 14 minutes to do, and that's me really hoofing it in a video, trying to get it done as fast as I could. And that's the other thing too. Just like Spider-Man was saying, I'm usually doing other things at the same time. So sometimes I'm even in a meeting with somebody while I'm doing that. Sometimes, like say I'm trying to watch like a Twitch training video or something like that. I'll be playing that Twitch training video while I am mixing those jars. Oh, look at this. Look what's happening there. What is that? It's starting to get a little bit lighter back there. Yes, it is. There we go. Look at that. We have only just now begun to lighten. Only just now. Oh, let me see. Oh yeah, backlog battles. Definitely don't get down on yourself about that. You should have seen me the first time I was doing it. It took way longer. Oh my God, and the mess that I made. Actually, you can go back. You can look at the blog post when I was mixing these things. And it was, oh yeah, Kathy's parents were here. So yeah, I was trying to get those things mixed, and we're at the kitchen table of all places. And I'm trying to mix these things, and there was paint going all over the place, all over me. So I had an audience. Just think, you don't have an audience watching you. So yeah, just you definitely don't rush yourself on making the jars. See that? See how it's starting to hang like cloth now. Now that we start to get some of our lights into here. And now our little, well, gate or whatever is starting to look like it's got some shape to it as well. Yeah, let's get a little more light on some of these guys. Ooh, let's get some light over here too. On all the little leaves, some of this stuff here. We never really hit this side either. Let's see. At least I have you all to keep me company. That really does matter. Because, well, you can listen to this, the chat. It's the perfect time. Oh, I think several times haven't we had folks say, yeah, I'm just mixing bottles of paint here. And every so often we'd hear in the chat, they'd say, oh, there's another one. Now I just finished another bottle. Just mixed another one. So again, I thought this could be interesting, using the flat, or the flat mat, whatever it is, the titanium white there from Gamlin, and just see, does it cut down on the potential shininess of something like a phthalo green, which is typically a color that's got a little shine to it. Now we're using our blending brush. Remember, we were going to come back to this up here. Yes, we are. And look at that. We're not doing everything, but see, look at that. We just blended out some of that rust effect. It's that same dual action. That's what we got to say. Dual action stippling. Stippling is a dual action. You're pressing down and you're twisting the brush like that. It's a press and twist. A really fast motion here, a very light, gentle motion. Ah, look at that. Look what just happened there. See, of course, there is also a scarlet spot in my basement rug after I miscalculated my mixture. Oh, yeah, Spider-Man. That pretty much happens every single time I do one of the swatch episodes or when I mix stuff like that. Oh, yeah, happens every single time. Of course, here, the carpets have long since been ruined by weathering powders and stuff long before there was oil paints. The carpets got destroyed. I think there was a jar of scaly, or some jar of green paint that Kathy had just like fall out of her hands or off the table or something like that. And you've heard some of my stories about when I was just a wee lad working with the oils. Let's get some lighter rust here. Let's see, I had to ask yesterday about those scarlet lake spots on my my loft carpet. Uh-oh. Okay, now we're gonna get into some lighter Terra Rosa. We might even, I would normally be using yellow ochre. We don't have that, so we're just gonna take our yellow ochre substitute. I just haven't remixed a new container of it, that's all. Nothing bad. I haven't remembered to remix that container yet. I think I was just more aware of it when we were doing all the horses. And we used an awful lot of ochre on the horses. So I think that's just one of that's the other thing too. Some colors will, I don't really like to use the term come in and out of favor. But if you wonder why I just haven't used a color in a while, sometimes it's just the projects. You don't see as much of the Egyptian violet now. Why? Because, well, we're not doing giant creature caster eyeball teeth beasts. So there's just less of as much as we love the Egyptian violet, there's just not as much of it out there. Granted, we were using some of it on the Corvus Cabal, but there's only a few more of those left, so going to do a little bit of mixing here. So we've got our next level up light rust color. Let's blend a little bit on this side too. How's about we go up one more level here. That's a little bit too yellow for some rust. There is, let's see, I think they did make a yellow rust color. That was the secret weapon rust, or well, he called them his weathering paint. They were acrylic paints. They were very much water-based. They weren't quite like the green stuff were liquid pigments, though. They didn't have, they were very matte, but they didn't look like powders necessarily. Like the green stuff world paint, they look like powders when they dry. So there's some of our lightest rust now. See how that works. That's not super complicated. Where's my, there, look at that. Not so bad. Let me see. At least scaly green is a nice color. Let's see, what color I bottle becomes a permanent part of whatever I'm wearing while I'm bottling my oils. Yes, Parm, the eyeball teeth beasts, where even the eyeballs had eyeballs and the teeth had teeth. Where I guess he could closely watch his diet because, well, the teeth had eyeballs. Yeah, let's see if we can get a touch more of our rust going into our Our little gateway right here. Oh, a little touchdown in there. That's it. Now, you know what? Let's have this could be interesting. I'm going to take, and it should be actually this here color maybe. Yeah, let's almost do a bit of underlighting here. That could be maybe interesting. Like this is lighting some of this. And some of our off-white here. Off-white green. Well, off-white phthalo green, I suppose. I still haven't quite determined. This is supposed to be some kind of a, like a frieze here. Or some kind of bas-relief sculpture on that fence, gate, whatever. We'll go one step lighter. Doesn't matter. If I think it's too much, I just take ye old blending brush and we'll just wipe it out and it'll be gone. Won't have to worry about it. I guess that I just don't sweat things with the oils because it's so easy to make a change. You don't like something. It's not like it's impossible to make changes with acrylic paints either. I mean, I've certainly done that often enough. But with the oils, it really is just so darn easy. It is so easy. Oh, we got a little something right there. We haven't actually tried to blend yet. We got this thing sitting right over here. I just saw a whole bunch of little brush strokes there. Let's just get rid of that. And what the heck? Maybe we'll even make it a little lighter there. What we have not played with so far. Did I just... Oh no, I did put some out on the palette. I have no idea. We'll see what happens with our fluorescent green here. And I'm guessing that I'm going to have to scumble this on very much like I do with the fluorescent orange. Just like we did on this one right here, where after we kind of put the stuff in place with the brighter stuff, the more solid colors like Fanchon Red, the Cadmium Scarlet, then we went in with something like the fluorescent orange, now fluorescent green, because it's just not a super stable color on its own. Well, looky here, we got ourselves Reaper Miniatures doing the raid thing. I don't think I have to tell anybody to follow Reaper Miniatures because I'm pretty sure everybody in here already is. Hey, Lady B, how are you doing? So, folks, welcome in. I think some of you that might have been here for all of the ReaperCon streams, and I hope that some of you have, know that we like to work with our oil paints here, and that is what we're doing on this Glaivewraith. We finished off our first figure of the evening here. So we are 3 hours in, and these two figures look just like this when we started. They were literally just brush on primer 3 hours and 2 minutes ago, and this is what we have courtesy of our oils. Lots of fun object source lighting. We've got, look at it, we got some marble right there. So lots of fun stuff going on. And you can also watch some, if you want to see some Reaper figures, well, we did a ton of these during ReaperCon. This is one of my favorite Reaper figures right here. And obviously, it's very much the same thing that we did right here. We've got another, oh look, and this was another one that was painted during ReaperCon. This one was very fun. We painted this one during ReaperCon. Also very fun. Oh, and we did this one. We did a whole bunch of Reaper figures. So go back and check out some of those old VODs. Oh, this was fun with the with the jars there. Another fun little Reaper figure. So go back and check those out. They're highlights at this point. Now what we're doing is we're actually throwing on a little bit of our fluorescent green oil paint here. Yes, it is actually, it's from Marion Street, and it is actually fluorescent. Which is weird, I know, to think of fluorescent oil paint. I didn't think it existed. I did not think such things existed, but it definitely makes a big old difference. Yep. Liking what that does. I've also learned that in some ways it's best to kind of do all the rest of your so-called kind of colors here and then go back with something like the fluorescent later. You can mix other colors with it. It sort of likes to play on its own, I think. Ah, there, that's really, whew, that is cranking it there. Now, I've got one somewhere around here. This one was painted actually with fluorescent acrylics. And you can see the intensity of this one versus this one. Now, the rusting effects are all very similar. And again, this one painted entirely with the oils here. Oh, hey, Ryan. So, Wappelville, here, let me show you a couple of the miniatures that were part of Wappelville first. Let me show you some of these. This is where, okay, yeah, this is good here. So, on some of the figures from, this was Wild West Exodus, a game back about 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago that we really, really loved. And this is kind of a standard basing technique that I used to use. Even this, somewhat standard. But because it was a steampunk game, I had to learn a whole new way of basing. Now, see these extra little pieces like this? Oh, is there a Steiner Miniatures in the house? Oh, hey, Busta, how are you doing? All right, let's head over to Wappelville here. Almost there. Poof. There's the town of Wappelville. Actually, it fills an 8x8 table. You got your church, your jail, watchtower, train station, the Flamant Rose, the house of horizontal refreshment. We got the water tower. There's a better view of your train station. We have Final Slumber, the funeral home. And I think we've got the lawmen of Wappelville right here. Actually, I still use those trees as terrain. Now, I sure wish I had oils when I was painting these. This goes back to just kind of the usual Reaper Clear and liner paints. Same here. Oh, man, it would be so fun to have the oils for painting those. But we also talk about when people get into a rut. They get bored with something. Well, sometimes switching genres like that, that is a way to be, well, not bored anymore. Oh, hey, Ozzy, how are you doing? Let's see. A very productive stream, over 100 minis and random terrains primed or turned from black primer to gray. So, folks, definitely be sure to give Steiner the follow, because Steiner's another person in the sort of, well, I don't want to say late night crew necessarily, but he's another one of our evening streamers there. Again, going with this fluorescent green, but you can see I'm stippling that on like this, not brushing it on. Not brushing it. I have to just stipple this stuff on here. Look at how intense that is. But with the oils, you can always do some wet blending. So we'll just go like so. We're going to take our blending brush here. And we call this our dual action here. Pressing and pulling. And you can see me doing a ton of that during all those Reaper videos there. And they're all highlights at this point. There was a big old episode on basing. This is very much, well, this, what you don't really, now, if you clean this up, it loses all the value, right? If you take away the patina, is that the thing they're always looking for, is patina? Because someone had it, they had it restored. And if you have it restored, it destroys all the value of it. Now here's another piece. I know I'm going to have to go up here to find that. Aha, here he is. So this is another, I think this was one of our grand finale pieces here that we did during ReaperCon. So this is just the bones. That's just Bones Griffin right there. We did this in oils. And all the wonderful colors on the wings. We did the basing of this. You can see, look at our icicles there. So definitely go back and watch this. Actually, some of this is also on the YouTube channel, especially the part where we did the snow on the base. We actually have another one over here with our waterfall effect, if we can find her. She's around here somewhere. Oh, she's hidden way back there. I can't grab that one. We'll get that one a later time. I'm looking at my nice bright green. I'm just going to let that sit. Just like I would with the fluorescent orange. We'll get a couple of little dots over here. Oh, that's right. We also did the Dark Sword Dragon, right? The big diorama base. That's where we put all of the foliage and everything. So yeah, it was a really fun base. We did all kinds of I don't know if we did vellum plants on that or not, but yeah, we did an awful lot of foliage on that, and that was a lot of fun. Gonna juice this up with, again, a little bit more of my fluorescent green here. Yeah, but again, I've got to just be patient with the oils. Patience is a virtue. Don't be hasty. Treebird says, don't be hasty. I'm going to get some of our fluorescent green out here. Now I'm just going to, for the heck of it here, take some of that white. We'll mix it with our fluorescent green, and I just want to see with the green, you can, and it's always like this, you can get away with that with the green, because with the yellow or the orange, it just turns it pink. But with the green, if it gets turned a little slightly different color, that's not a problem. So this is very nice here. Yeah. So that's why I got to get the fluorescent magenta in the Marion Street oils. I've got to get those. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get the fluorescent blue because, well, fluorescent blue never really seems to... look what that's doing down there. Yeah. That's having a nice effect. That's giving me some nice, intense results. And with the green, green just... Firelight and green, if it turns a little bit... If it's a little bit more bluish green or whatever, no big deal. But with firelight, if it turns pink, that's a little zinchy, and you're not always looking for zinchy. Let's see. Busta asks, "What is your way of highlighting red without it going pink or orange?" Oh, Busta, I wish you. I'm sure you probably haven't seen it's a Patreon video that I just did with the red. But, oh, look at this. Look what we've got. Pick a card, any card. So here's some Fanchon red. So what I like to do is sometimes I take this brilliant yellow white here, and sometimes a touch of some kind of orange, or even a little bit of a brownish color. So like this Terra Rosa that's over here, sometimes mix that in. But you have to have a little bit of yellow in there. You have to have just a pinch of yellow. Now, I think this is my cadmium, perline red. So you can see this. There's just enough yellow in that to make this lighter, but it's not really pink, not this kind of pink. So I see when you mix it with white, it's just chalky and it's cold. But when you've got just a hint of some kind of yellow in there, just like this, that's enough to get it off of the just medium red to some lighter. Here you got your cadmium red deep. You can see it just turns pink here. But see, that's a lighter red. That's not orange, but it is definitely a lighter red. And if you get a little bit of this light yellowish color in there too, you'll get it to be lighter. Now, obviously every red is different, and especially with the oil paint. Whoops, that's not the right one. Especially with the oil paints, some are more translucent than others, so that's going to have a bit of an impact. So I'm having fun with the fluorescent green here. That's really having a nice impact. I'm enjoying that. No problem, Busta. And actually, I do recommend, just for fun, actually, try doing a couple of those little swatch things for yourself. Because hey, I've learned there's whole colors that have come back into use just based on those swatches. I had so much success with certain colors on those swatches. They've actually worked their way back onto the palette, whereas I had kind of abandoned those and just said, yeah, this color doesn't really do it for me. Only to use them in those color charts and go, oh my goodness, I just wasn't thinking of that color the right way. So there are definitely some colors that have come back into use. There we go. Wow, that's what the addition of the fluorescent green right there. Man, oh man, look at what difference that makes. That is very fun. So again, we're getting a lot of nice differences here in color temperature. Back to that fluorescent. Worked some of that into here. Now, oh yeah, let's get some. Let's get some. Now here, I want to see if I can make this a little bit warmer here. Now that's interesting. That almost, I don't want to say it makes it dingier, but that right there actually moves it away from the fluorescent green just a touch. That's interesting. Like I said, I'm learning something all the time. If you're, let's put it, if you're still painting the same way now than you were years ago, eventually you will get bored. It will happen. I've seen it. I have seen it. And switching mediums, switching genres, switching out your palettes. Because there were certain colors that I used to just use all the time. That was like never fail. I would always have this color out on the palette. Which is great. I mean, it's not bad or anything. Every so often, toss a new color out onto that palette. See what happens. You might hate it, which is fine because now you know, okay, I just have no use for this color. There's nothing I can do with this. Like, we're still trying to find a purpose for Cobalt Violet. The insanely expensive $43 a tube paint that is nothing like what it was in previous iterations when I used to use that. Yet some of the cheapest colors have been some of the most useful colors. Go figure. Thank you. Oh, Avocado Kids does the cheer. Whoops. I grabbed a glowy thing, a green glowy thing. It was almost something that wasn't me. And he's like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be right here. Why am I not up here? It's like, that's my spot. Why am I not there? Man. And the guy's like, hey, where are you going? It's like, dude, leave me alone. Let me see. I've got, oh, back to lurk there. Oh, yes. Did Avocado Kids make enough for the entire class? Ooh. Ah ha ha ha. There's some of our nice little bright green. So that fluorescent green, that's got some punch to it. I mean, that one stroke right there. I know it doesn't quite, the camera has a tough time picking up on that sometimes. But boy, it's got some juice to it. Now, we've also, of course, we've kind of compromised it a bit here by mixing other colors with it, which is fine. I get some, ooh, wow, okay. We're going to put some of that lighter stuff here. Here's our blending brush. Now we're going to go after some of these right here. This is where we first put some of that fluorescent green down. We're going to try and, it's not so much blending, we're just trying to manage some of those crazy stippling brush strokes. Ah, see, we knocked some of those down now. And of course, I think it applied when we did both of these here. Book of Wappel, we're just going to go straight to chapter 37. We're going right to 37 because there is nothing that doesn't have to be messy before it can be neat. Both of these figures that we were doing, you remember the mess that they started out? They looked like nothing. They were horrible. Eventually, they work their way and they start to become something, and then they become a finished piece. Now, diorama bases. For the folks that are new here, I wanted to get to this because what does a diorama base mean? Well, I'm going to bring in a little figure here, and this is what we were painting last night. This is what I mean by a diorama base. This is game legal. It's for Lord of the Rings. So there is a Nazgul right there. We painted this in oils, I think, a couple of weeks ago. You can go back and watch the highlight of this thing being painted. We had a blast painting this with the oils. And then we painted this last night. So this is a diorama base here, built to hold this fell beast. And you can see where he's attached right here. So he's kind of breaking the stones away. But that's hiding. There's a big pin that goes through him down through this base. Diorama base. It's practical because this base is very heavy. Well, if you bang into him, he's not going to fall over because this thing weighs a lot. This is all solid Sculpey right here. Solid Sculpey. Let's see. Oh, welcome back, Backlog Battles. And let's see. Aussie says, I'm about to embark on painting up some crypt terrain tiles in a similar color scheme to the Spooky Beast. The glazing thing that I did here was basically variations on phthalo green. Now, phthalo green is just, you saw what a fantastic color it is. It's very intense. We're actually going to, oh, ho, 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 ho. This is kind of the grand finale here I was waiting for, is mixing phthalo green with the fluorescent green. Oh my goodness. Just when you thought phthalo green couldn't get bright enough, we just made it another step brighter. Oh my goodness. Wow. So definitely different iterations of phthalo green. Now there was another miniature I was about to grab to show you, but that just got mailed off earlier today. So unfortunately I don't have that to show you. That's kind of what happens. With rare exceptions, like that fell beast, most of the things that I paint, unfortunately, end up somewhere else because of the commission stuff. But you can't go wrong. If you want this kind of a ethereal glowing green, phthalo green. It's not an expensive paint color either. Yeah, I still haven't had a chance to mess around with my labels. I know some people are doing some really nifty one, like Al. You know, he has his nifty label right there. I have not had time to mess around with the labels at all, so I'm still kind of stuck with the original labels that I made. I mean, they do the trick. Ooh, look at that. That's that phthalo green mixed with the fluorescent green there. Let's see. I think we got that set. I wanted to make sure I'd answered that. Oh my gosh, we never hit this part. We're getting this again with our phthalo green mixed with our fluorescent green. Here we are. Yeah, that's really giving that a nice little punch. And here too. So that's going to make it darker, but it's also going to give it a nice little punch there. And how's about under here? Ooh, yeah. Oh, there we go. Let's double down on this. So that's phthalo green mixed with our fluorescent green. So we're going to put this on here, and then this is why there's no such thing as layering, because we just plop that color on. Now we just pull it right down. Look at that. Would you rather do a whole bunch of little layers of paint, or plop a color, pull a color, boom, done. That's it. Let me see. Busta says, I've seen the paints you use. Which one do you think are the best? There are some colors. Let's take this. The Gamlin Silver is way better than any of the Winsor Newton metallic paints. Of course, all the other Gamlin metal paints are terrible. The Williamsburg iridescent paints and the, what are they? The color shifting, what are they? Oh, interference colors. Those are fantastic. For the most part, a lot of paint is the same. If it's Winsor Newton, Gamlin, Williamsburg, they're pretty much the same. Even the Winton, the so-called student grade stuff, a lot of it is pretty much okay. The biggest difference that I've ever found is with, say, this versus this. So this is the starter set, right? The Wintons. This is the Williamsburg. This is way better than this. But this ought to be, because this costs 4 times what this costs. So this was serviceable for years. I use this. This is definitely better. But again, at 4 times the price of this thing, it better be an improvement. So hopefully that kind of answers that question for you. For the most part, paint brands are they're going to be awful similar. They really are. There will be some differences here and there. Like Egyptian violet, okay. If I was to buy diazonine purple, would that be the same as the Egyptian violet? Oh, welcome Broad Jumper. Hey, how you doing? I'll catch you later, Sakaya. Thanks for hanging out. Here. So this is our first, so in 3 hours, 25 minutes, these two had absolutely zero paint on them. There was nothing on either one of these guys. Nothing whatsoever. Busta, it's going to be less about the brand of paint and more the color of paint. So you're obviously going to be thinking phthalo, alizarin. So phthalo blue, phthalo green, alizarin crimson. Those are going to be really intense colors. Now cadmium's also going to be intense colors. However, those are expensive, as in a lot expensive. So one 37 mil tube of cadmium scarlet costs more than this entire starter set did, by probably $7 or $8. But I needed that in the intensity, right? That's in that cadmium. I was looking for that. So the price was worth it because, well, that cadmium scarlet is kind of at the heart of what I do with this sort of object source lighting fiery stuff. Yep, just like Backlog Battle says. So Busta, what you can do, and I sort of think this, especially when you're starting out, get the starter set, because that's now the Winsor Newton one on Amazon, or actually on Dick Blake, is about $20-ish, $22, somewhere in there. You start out with that. If you're looking for colors to add, indigo, Terra Rosa, for sure. Cerulean blue, kind of nice to have. Then you're probably going to want to add something like an alizarin crimson. You're probably going to want to add, different things like this fanchion. These are some really interesting reds, like this fanchion red. I would say something like a Van Dyke brown. That is a It's a very utilitarian color. But if you're looking for cadmium paints, just realize that one tube of that cadmium is probably going to cost you somewhere between 25 to 40 bucks. That's one tube. But the starter set, let's just say that starter set that you saw, well, I've been working from that for years. Oh, this is the other advantage of the oils too. I just like to call it blind blending. I'm just going to shove this brush into here, and I'm just going to twirl it around. And just literally by virtue of just pressing this brush into here, you can see it turned a different color. So it's literally mixing just by shoving that brush in there. I'm going to do this again. And this brush is going to be very dark by the time it comes back out of here again. Just shoving that brush. See how much darker that brush is? Because it's quite literally blending with all the stuff that's already in there. How's about we maybe almost give him some kind of a bit of pink in here, some kind of muted magenta for some kind of skin color here. Yeah, it needed something. Ah, that's much better. Just something to take it away from all of the green that's right there. So there's your starter set on Amazon. Dick Blick also has it. And oh, there's your Dick Blick link as well. Oh, we need to get some of this magenta over here. Well, again, more of a very muted purple. So this is another color contrast versus value contrast. It's not any lighter or any darker than when I added it. It's the same. However, color, very much different. Very much different on the color. We're going to do the same over here. We get a little bit of magenta into that. Now it gets it off of the same color as the robe that was there. Where's my... Oh, there it is again. So this is essentially alizarin crimson with a bunch of other stuff mixed into it. See, the pinker that gets, the one that's going to stand out from your green over here. Back over here to our... might want to do this a little bit lighter here. This fold right here. I know it's a little tough to see. We've got an awful lot of warm stuff going on. I'm trying to actually cool this green down a bit right there. I got to go back and get some more because not that light. The brush is going to just get, well, dirty as it picks up paint that's already there. Now, one of the things we also see, there's also almost like a little bit of a bluish color there. I am going to go back to something that's got just a hint more blue in it. So there's our phthalo green again. We'll mix that with this flat matte white. And we're going to go into here. It's not just lighter, there's a temperature change there. That's more of a bluish color. And I'm also going to do that up here too. That's it. So this was just too much warm here, too cool down here. We brought some of the warm down here. Let's do the opposite, bring some of the cool up there. And even with their blending brush here, you can see it's that dual action, right? Pressing, twisting. That's what gives us a blend. We're pressing, we're twisting, we're lifting. So press, twist, and lift. That sounds like some kind of weird yoga class or something. Or something else. I don't know. I'm going to get me a little bit more of my bluish green out here and here. Oh, that's part of our guy right there. So let's for sure. Yeah, let's get some green over here. Good grief, I didn't even see that. I don't know if I'll necessarily lighten it up quite so much as I did some of these other elements right by it here. Did just actually add a little bit of the fluorescent green into that. Now Ozzy's going to go grab some of that phthalo green. Now I'll see some of the starter sets come with a phthalo green substitute, usually in the form of viridian hue. Where is it? I mean, in a pinch, this can do. I've used it. You can see I've clearly already used this stuff. It's just not going to have quite the punch of, say, your actual phthalo green there. Now, you know what? Yeah, know what? I'm going to see, and I'm not going to do this in a glaze fashion. We're going to do this in a drier fashion. We're taking some of our, that's a little bit of our Terra Rosa. We're starting to bring, oh yeah, we're starting to bring some of that down through these folds right next to Mr. Fluorescent Green. Oh, well, hey, this is good news. This is good because I'm seeing eeny meenies. Eeny meenies. So folks, well, I'm sure you're already following eeny meenies, but wow, this is kind of good news here. So folks, let's welcome in eeny meenies. Now, Eeny, I've got to ask you, I know you were kind of taking a little bit of personal time there. So was this your first stream back? Because I haven't seen any notifications there. So hunt you down. So Eeny, thanks for the raid. It's good to see you back. Obviously I saw. I was just looking at your. Oh gosh, was that the Mind Slayer or something like that, or Mind Stealer? Your kitty. I just happened to run across that on Instagram, and I was like, oh, eeny meenies. I wonder if she's gonna be back to her streaming antics there. So it's good to see you back. Ah, that's very cool. Now, did you have a chance while you were kind of just chilling out and taking some time? Did you have a chance to play around with the oils, just to screw around, to kind of find some new things? Because you were definitely rocking the oils, having tons of fun with them, doing some, well, like your kitty, doing really neat things like that. So hopefully you had a little chance to play with them. I know probably not a lot. I'm sure you were busy with other things too. Here, let's do some. There we go. Ah, yeah. See, that needed a little bit of a blend right there. Let's see. Oh yeah, is that the like for Reiner, because he's doing his push for partner, right? If you raid, but you got to do certain things, otherwise it doesn't count you or something like that. Yeah, I feel sorry for Reiner because he is still pushing away at that partnership thing. That just sounds like they make that rough. They took a little break from oils because I was worried I'd get rusty with acrylics, but I found another project to play with oils. So she'll be back to it. That's good. Yeah, Eeny, that it's kind of funny because I actually just the stream yesterday, I was using acrylics again, and I was just doing a couple of acrylic videos before that. So it's funny, like you say, you can get really used to what the oils do, and then all of a sudden you catch yourself trying to do the same thing with acrylics, which, well, not quite the same. So I can understand wanting to get back into the acrylics to just make sure you don't lose any of the touch with the acrylics. So we did the same thing we did over here, right? We just did the same thing on his shoulder there. Did we, layer anything? Nah, we just took a darker color. We said the heck with this here, and we just shoved it in. Now, this is going to be more of our sap green type of a color here. So that's even another step darker there. See that stippling that we're doing? Now, backlog battles, is that your third one, backlog? Because I know you said you did 2 in 45 minutes, so hopefully that's your third. Actually, hopefully it's your fourth. So, Eni, we've been trying a bunch of new colors as well. Lots of new colors. Actually, we're using a Alizarin Crimson, real Alizarin Crimson for the first time. We are playing around with this fast matte titanium white. And we were messing around here. I'm going to get you off to the side over here. Because if we're going to bring in, and this is the other thing that we were using some of the acrylics on, is the base here of our Witch King. So that's the Witch King and Melvin the Fell Beast. So we did all of this here in acrylics because, well, I wanted to glue this. So there's no way I could do that with oils, but we tried the fast matte white on this guy, which was pretty interesting. It yielded some interesting results, and, well, it's certainly very flat. So this is from Gamlin here. And basically the idea is you mix this with some of those shinier colors, you know which ones they are, that have a tendency to be shiny. Mix it with that, and maybe it cuts down on the shiny just a bit. And then, of course, oh yes, I wish I had it for these guys. We did these ghosties here. And we started actually out with white. These all started out as white, and then we just started putting the darker oils over the top. And I bet you these would not be quite so with that satin finish if we'd started out with that flat matte white. And they probably would have dried even faster. So these are very fun. So it's been a lot of experimentation. Back to this guy right here. And also we've been given things lots of hilarious names, apparently, too. What? Oh, yeah, that's it. We had a whole story of Melvin the Fell Beast, Melvin and the Witch King. It was going to be like a buddy movie, sort of like oh gosh, a little bit like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie. Just a couple of misfits that don't get accepted in Middle-earth by anybody. Nobody wants to play with them. So they just kind of get together and get into hijinks and adventures together. Wiping out a village here and there, eating some hobbits here and there. It's just what friends do, and that's what makes them happy. Digging out hobbit holes together. I mean, he's got claws. He's got to make sure those claws are sharp somehow. I think we're gonna get a little bit of our dark there. That's where we took some of our blue-ish green from down there, put it up there. Let's see. Oh yeah, well, an awful lot of the new stuff is not quite so easy to put together. That's for sure. Even the new Necrons. There's a few of those that definitely cause frustration. Now we've got these two. I think, you know what, this is probably here. Well, so the pink there. Look at all of these different colors here. I'll catch you later, Eni. Thanks so much for the raid. Here, let's do our little film noir. So you can see there's plenty of shading here, right? You got plenty of lights and darks. You can see our light source right there. Now watch what happens when we bring our color back. Zink, there we go. Look at that, and look at the difference in intensity here. This side versus this side. This is cooler, less intense colors. This side, all the warm, very intense colors. Here, it's a little different game. We got some of our warmer greens up here, cooler greens down here. So here it had to be more of a temperature thing. And temperature here, right? We have this kind of bluish green blade Then we've got that warmer rust. But also, if a color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. So we got some right here. And I think I can come back. So we welcome in Red Katana. Thank you so much for the raid. That's appreciated. And folks, be sure to give Red Katana a follow because, well, follows are free. They don't ask for anything. Just do a follow. Or if you already follow, double check because Twitch has a way of unfollowing you when you least expect it. I know. It's happened to me where I swore and I know that I hit somebody's follow button and then all of a sudden I wasn't getting alerts anymore and it's because Twitch just unfollowed them for me for no good reason. So we're using our oil paints. 3 hours and 43 minutes ago, neither of these had any paint. They were just bare primer. So how you doing, Red Katana? I hope you're... Oh, a sophist. Yeah, some rusty ghosts. Now, this is the third figure that we're going to be painting tonight. But this is just brush on Stynylrez primer. That is what these two looked like. 3 hours, 44 minutes ago. There was zero paint on either one of these. Working with the oils. Now here we've been playing also with our fluorescent oils. We've been playing with the fluorescent orange on the Warcry Corvus Cabal. Now in this case we are playing with some of our fluorescent green. Those are from Marion Street. Now let's get some of the same little teensy highlights on here too. Not too many, just a few. Some little glinty highlights here. In some ways, maybe where a little bit of the rust has been wiped away by some kind of contact. Look at that. See that little tiny bit? Not the entire thing. We're not taking this brush and going along the whole thing. A little bit there. Tiny bit there. A little says a lot. Now, same thing on this side. Let's start in here. A little says a lot. Just like with anything else, with weathering, with the oil paint itself, less is more, and more is always way too much. And you can see it's kind of in the form of some dots here instead of just one big old line that goes the whole way. Let's do this side over here. I just have to turn it my way so that I can see it here a little better. That is good enough. So say that just that little bit of a glint right there, that's going to make that look just ever so slightly more metallic. And there are such thing as metallic oils. Big Ammo has them. Outside of Big Ammo, well, your best bet is going to be something along the lines of the Gamblin Silver. Most other metallic oil paints, unfortunately, they're a little suspect. Which makes sense because miniature painters definitely could have used for metallic oil paints, but most average folks, not so much. Now, we do also have things like interference. So think of this as color shifting. So that is oil paint. So see that on our Ossiarchs there, look at how it's blue, and then it shifts back to purple, and then to blue again. So that is your interference blue from Williamsburg. Let's see, so Sophist, I hope everything has been going well, and I hope you're able to get some decent work done on the stream. Let's see, what did... So work on the Angels of Purification. Ooh, yeah, those should be fun. Have you tested other Gamlet? So Sky King, other folks have gotten stuff like the gold and the copper, and their immediate thing was they sent me a message right away saying, Jim, do not bother getting this stuff. It's terrible. It's basically like the Winsor Newton metallics. They said, Jim, don't get it. It is a complete waste of time and money. So unfortunately, Gamblin Silver is just about it. If you're looking for something besides that, I would just go with the MIG ammo stuff, because we know what the MIG ammo stuff can do. And that is good stuff. Now I just did, this is my cadmium yellow mixed with the phthalo green. We're going to get a touch more of that over here now too. Ah, there we are, right in here. Let's see. I think we're all caught up there. Yep. I think we are all caught. Ooh, let's do... I'm going to make this a little bit darker here first. However, I'm just going to hit a little bit of this and kind of throw some lighting onto here. The other side, however, we'll do the opposite here. We're going to darken this down ever so slightly so that we can actually have a bit of a highlight here. If you want to have light, you must have dark. Yeah, now that highlight would have been there, not going to be quite as dramatic or show up quite as much unless I did that little bit of dark there. Sometimes you just have to do that. We're coming back in here with some of that, our titanium matte, fast matte white, which we're kind of only trying for the second time. It's a brand new thing that we have not had before. Starting to get some of our lighter effects down here too. This is, we haven't touched this stuff in probably over an hour, I want to say, maybe even a little longer. You know what? There's a little bit of my fluorescent green that's going to get into there. I mean, it's mostly mixed out by now, but there's a touch of it left. Oh, geez. Let's do some of that down here. That's another area that I'm just looking and going, better do something more down here. Same thing on the other side. That's all just really, really dark there. I'm going to go back to the cooler green here. So don't mind me while I just shove a brush in here and do a little bit of blind blending. Another handy thing with the oils, it saves so much time because now I don't have to be painting miniatures on separate little dowel rods and sticks and everything else like I used to have to do. I can pretty much just attach them right to the base. Don't have to worry about painting the bottoms of cloaks or whatever because, well, I can get to those now. Almost as easy. Yeah. I can get to those really easy. It saves a whole bunch of time trying to glue that figure on there after the fact. I think I need some... I'm going to try and do another little highlight here on these edges. Oh, you can see it. Okay, that's good. I guess that's some kind of plaster coating there or something like that. We'll just pop a few little lights here. We did it on the other side. We probably need to do that over here too. But I might let a little bit of my yellow get into that. That was looking a little bit too pale. It basically it wasn't a warm or a cool. It was just kind of dead. We don't want to have anything dead here. Not with all these bright fluorescent colors happening and such. Let me see. So well, let's head over to Lustria right here. So Lustria, this was the very first Warhammer, very first Warhammer army I ever did, and a lot of this was scratch sculpted here. Those two engines of the gods, I actually used very much the same materials that I did on that base that you saw for our Witch King and Fell Beast. Most people say, Jim, you just sculpted those things so you could paint spacescapes on them. And I said, I cannot confirm or deny that. This is where we first started to use the Sculpey basing for kind of en masse for whole armies here. Actually, all the terrain that you see here, actually, I've got tutorial videos on that terrain. And there's one of my favorite guys in the army. Same Sculpey that I used. That little howdah, that palanquin was made out of the Sculpey there again, so I could just paint a wonderful little spacescape on it. So there is your lizard man army. And then you're asking, what's this one true brush all about? Well, it's not a green handle anymore, but it is just as sacred as it has always been. So, as you can see, this brush is seeing just a little bit of action right here. Now, they don't necessarily start out that way. They start out more like this. Now they're gray handle brushes too. But when they start to get a little bit, more forlorn and beat up like that, well, you can do stuff like this. I mean, look at this. The handle's gone. So I cut that into a spatter brush and a stippling brush for rust and chipping. Yeah, mud. It's like 27 cents because they come 12 in a pack. $4.99. There's 12 of them. And when they start out, they're actually really, really nice, very pristine brushes. But you start to use them a little bit more, they get a little bit more beat up. They literally take on a different shape, which is fantastic. Oh, let me see. Yeah, those are the engines of the gods. And you can check out the blog. And actually, I do have some step-by-step. Well, I have work in progress where you have just the unpainted, the stegodons and the howdahs, so you can see how they looked before they were painted. And you can go check out the blog. All of my armies are on the blog. In fact, a lot of those armies also have a lot of step-by-step posts showing how they were made, how they were painted. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I need a little bit of that lighter green there. This has a touch of our yellow in it as well. Now, see, we're stippling again. Because if I just do this, all I'm going to do is just wipe that paint away. Paint's just going to be gone. As always, things start out, they look really rough. Then what do? We refine. It starts out rough, then you refine it. It's very much the approach that you would do on an oil painting or a watercolor painting or whatever. You would certainly start out blocking in your color. That's what you're doing. You're blocking in stuff. Detail comes later. Detail comes later. And there's your link provided by our wonderful moderator there. We need to, oh gosh, almost forgot. We need to get some lights into here. Let's do that right here. Oh yeah. All right, now it's starting to look a little bit more like it's actually like a crack or something. It's weird as I do this, I keep thinking that I'm working on that base for the Fell Beast again with this broken arch right here. Oh, I'm going to sneak in some more lights. Oh, yeah, I need also, where's Mr. Blending Brush? This is another case where we have not so much a color to blend, there's just some brush strokes to manage. And that's where we put some of that fluorescent green. Taken care of now. I'm going to throw just a touch more. I know there's not much left of this fluorescent green. That's all I need. I just needed a little tiny bit. I'm going to take some of this cadmium yellow here. Just a touch of this way. All I'm trying to do is not so much lighten it up, just trying to make it a little bit more on the opaque side of things. We'll mix this up. And then we're going to try and stipple this right into here. Lighten this up a bit. Yeah. Oh, hey, Kevin Kitsune. How are you doing? Let's see. Why on earth are your new brushes in Indianapolis? That doesn't surprise me, Armored Wolf, because my stuff will start out from Dick Blick in Galesburg, and then it ends up in Wisconsin. It'll end up in Janesville or something crazy like that, and then it comes down here. See that? Let's get a little bit more of our white in here. So yes, Armored Wolf was able to discover what just might be some relatives of the one true brush. Basically, the one true brush in smaller sizes. Only one way to find out, and that's to test them. So those brushes are on the way here, and as soon as they arrive, we will begin testing. Now it's time to see what's happening there. I'm just going to lighten these up just a pinch now. A little bit more. Do I need to? I'll just put a couple of lights here on the teeth and his skull, like you do. Do I need? Oh, yeah. I think I need a couple of more lights here along that side. Yep. Oh, let's see. Kevin is doing well, waiting for some sprue glue to finally cure and some screamers of zinch. I've heard of the sprue glue. We've never used the sprue glue. There's something else too that Zip Zap or something like that. There's some kind of or Zap-A-Gap. I think that's what it must be called. We never ever used that either. I've used a lot of plastic putty from Vallejo. It's kind of a favorite because it's a fast way to fill in gaps, but, well, we're running low on that, and now we have green stuff again, so I guess we're going to be doing a lot more with green stuff. I think you can see, you can see his little eye cut out there through the robe. So also a couple of more lights on the end of his robe here. This thing is kind of a little bit too much of the white. Tint that a little more yellow. I'm looking at this. See, I like the fact that there's the yellow here, and then see that gets much more of a bluish green. However, I might just take a wee bit of our Prussian blue here. Mix that with some of our phthalo. And this might be even more of a bluish color here. And that is more blue. Oh, what the heck, a little bit of that get onto the gate or whatever that is. I mean, this, right, I know it doesn't necessarily show up quite as much on camera, but this is quite blue in comparison to what's already out here. So, see that transition? It's more yellow out here, and then bam, much more blue over here. Well, blue-ish. Always looking to get different color temperatures, especially something like this where you almost kind of consider it a limited palette. Let's see, Gap is really good, but treat it with respect. You'll glue yourself together and it ain't coming apart. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's been so many hilarious videos where I have darn near glued myself to either myself or the thing that's supposed to be getting glued. Now, I just took the blending brush, that top edge, I just took the top edge and moved it this way. That's all I did. There, though, the other one is foam glue. That's the other thing that I've never had a chance to use. In all of these years, for as much foam as I have done, I just Like I said, go to the
Hello,
blog.
little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Welcome in, Full Matt Milky. Thank you so much for the follow. I've used all kinds of foam for terrain, but still have never had a chance to have some fun with that foam glue. Actually, I got to get my hot wire going again too. Well, I need space to use that, and when we move stuff around to make room for the printer, oh wow, that's actually moving right through. Okay, all right, let's get some of this lighter greenish blue. I see another area here that we kind of sort of missed, which is okay. This is the refinement stage. This is where we go back in and hit some of the things maybe that we missed. No big deal. That's what this is for. That's helpful. I think we'll possibly go up a little lighter than that. Like so. Which, of course, means now I've got to get a little bit lighter back in here, too. If we're doing this, we can't just have rust going right to something that's glowing. We have to reflect that there is something glowing here. If I can't, I'm trying to desperately leave some of that rust behind. So Zap, okay, maybe that's why I'm thinking of their name so much, because they make that foam-safe glue, and that's probably what I keep seeing all the time, is that foam-safe glue. Because well, I think I don't take too far to get down to my terrain here. So this, all pink foam, a big part of this construction. And you can watch, there's I think 5 posts on this about the blog right there. So check that out. Some of that's just that white nasty foam that you get, like packing foam, right? Oh, let me see. Busta asked, forgot what colors I should look into for extra colors. So Busta, for sure, the 2 that you definitely want, and they're not expensive colors, is Indigo Blue and Terra Rosa. Those 2 are incredibly flexible. I've used every Terra Rosa from everything from rust to skin tone. Indigo is just another one of those massively useful. Oh, look at this. Look at what we just did there. See that nice little gentle stippling of some of that lighter color there, but it's also got some bluishness to it. Very nice. So I think you can't go wrong with potentially maybe a little bit of cerulean blue too. I would also suggest something like if you want to go into cadmiums, and if you're going like all out real cadmium, cadmium scarlet is not bad, or cadmium orange, because that's really handy for fire effects. There are also, I'm just trying, here we go. I mean, if you really want to go nuts, you can get the Marion Street fluorescent oil paint. Now, this is a gargantuan tube. This is $15, I think, each, but that is a monstrous tube. This would last. I'll never need to buy this again, ever. Doesn't matter how many miniatures I paint, I will never go through that entire container. I would suggest maybe things like something like an alizarin crimson. That's not a bad one to have. A Van Dyke brown is another color that I like. I think burnt umber tends to come with most sets. It might also depend what's in your area. So here, for me, Holbein is very expensive. In other areas, Holbein is far less expensive than, say, something like Winsor Newton. So that might also affect your decision. Ooh, yeah, we had a little bit of our bluish green out on the end of his fingers there. Now, I had been using Payne's Gray for the longest time, and then I happened to get Indigo Blue, and then realized that just has...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
That's got more flexibility to it, way more flexibility. As we welcome in Big Boss Waztech. Thank you so much for the follow. That is appreciated. Do we need to get... Yeah, I'm going to go a little touch lighter on the inside of the cloak here, such as it is. I will let some of that maybe reflect now onto the staff of his glaive. I really shouldn't call it a spear. It is, I mean, they're called Glaivewraiths for a reason. Drax loves his Payne's Gray. Well, actually, Drax, weren't you using some serious Payne's Gray on your Necron Destroyer there? I could swear that you were. I know you were. I think you were talking about that, right? Let's see if I have cadmium yellow and orange. I still aim for the Spider-Man. If you're saying, even if you have the money for the fluorescents, I would say, you know what, maybe experiment with another color that you don't have. Once you're really kind of completed on things and you say, you know what, I don't really need, I think I'm good on just my general colors here, then maybe play around with it. The fluorescents are, they're good. I mean, you can see they do stuff, right? But, I mean, I had no fluorescence when I did this, and yet it's still, it doesn't have quite the punch that this one does, but it's still got some punch to it. And if you got your cadmium yellows and that sort of thing, just start with that. Save yourself a few bucks at the start, and then as you kind of work your way in, you might find that, yeah, you know what, I really do want that. So you can see I lightened this area up down here just to sort of match this here. I'd say, but almost. Oh, actually, backlog battles. We did a whole little thing on those. Pain. No, that's indigo. Where did my Payne's Gray one go here? Let me just go up here and grab that guy. There he is. Payne's Gray. And let me grab these, because that's why we love our little color charts here. So indigo blue and Payne's Gray. Well, first of all, Payne's Gray is far more translucent than indigo blue. It's also more red than indigo blue. And when we looked at the pigment numbers, we did a Drax. We looked at the pigment numbers and I went, holy smokes, it's phthalo blue, black, and ultramarine blue. This is essentially black and cobalt blue, which makes sense. Cobalt blue, kind of a reddish blue. And here's your difference. So you can see the blue here and the indigo blue. This is also more of a staining color. Payne's Gray, not staining at all. So actually you can go back and watch this particular, turn around. You can go back and watch this one. This is a highlight now. And the whole point of this was to show the difference between Payne's Gray and the indigo. Also, Payne's Gray is one of those shinier colors. But again, now that's something that Drax is factoring in, and that is, he knows how to work that satin finish, I guess you would call it. So if you're counting on that, then that's going to work great. To me, either one is nice. We used both. We used Payne's Gray on the big Fell Beast, and we used indigo on that. They just, like anything else, they have different properties, and depending on what you're looking for, it's not like I'll still use Payne's Gray for sure. But those are the kind of things that you'll find out as you use these things. You'll go, all right. Just like for me with the fluorescents. Oh, is not Jay still around? There you are. Oh yeah, Drax. So chromatic black. That's a not Dick Blake. That's a Gamlin color. I'm assuming. Now, of course, we all know what happens when you assume things. But I know. Is that one that you got right off the bat, or is that one? That's one that you kind of discovered afterwards. I think after the initial kind of oil blast. Nah, Backlog's got another dropper bottle down. He's getting there. He is getting there. Speaking of getting there, we're starting to get there with this guy. Now I'm just, again, trying to think, okay, that's going to cast some kind of light. Well, it really should, well, cast some kind of light on this metal stuff here. So let's do that here. Right there. Another little shot of it here. Let's see. So yeah, Drax, I'm really racking my brain here. If that's something you've had since the beginning, or if that is a more recent discovery. Yeah, you know, I think it needed some light. I don't think we need to go any lighter over here. Not sure about anything lighter over there either. This potentially a touch lighter. Maybe even a little bit lighter over here. So again, you see how just easy that is to blend. Now, so the chromatic black, I wasn't sure if that was one that you had from the get-go, or if that is one that you, as a more recent discovery. Because I've heard you mention it in the streams several times, but my, my brain doesn't quite work the way it used to. Actually, it hasn't worked the way it was supposed to in a long time. I'm going to get me a little more of a, yeah, like right here, there's essentially some cracks into this. We should just paint those in. This is sort of what we did on our Fell Beast, right? To show where some of the blocks were more broken up. I ordered it, but only started making it more recently. Oh, I knew about theoretically. So that's right. So you have been talking about. Okay. So where's my... let me see if I can find this now. This, again, not every company uses the same pigments. And here's my Payne's Gray. So what was yours? So this is Pigment Blue 29, Pigment Black 6, Pigment Black 19, and Pigment Red 101. So that's why this has a little bit more of a red to it. And the 29 is actually that was a cobalt. Well, so cobalt blue is Pigment 28. Where's ultramarine blue? Oh, this might be it. So ultramarine blue, Pigment 29. This is also one reason why I don't get caught up in pigment numbers, because one company's pigment something number is another company's pigment something number. That's why I'm always just going to do it from a visual standpoint and not from a number standpoint, because doing the little color swatches like this tells me way more than any numbers can say, because I'm also mixing it with other colors. So to me, this is always, and I'm going to keep doing these. Well, obviously I'm going to be making videos out of these, more videos, but it's really nice to have that kind of deck of cards. It really is nice to have that. So even if, well, obviously you're not making tutorial videos, but I would suggest having some fun and doing some of those, because I think you might just see something as you're doing just one random color blend, and you say, oh my gosh, like the phthalo green, we found out that just dominates every other color. No matter which one you mix it with, it just dominates it, until I think it was indigo blue. Might have been the first one that it didn't dominate. Now let's see, where can I find good painting tutorials? Let's see, PSG. I know that Goobertown on YouTube, he's got some things that are, I think, orientated a little bit more towards beginning stuff. So, and Goobertown is just fun and relaxing to watch anyway. So I think that's not a bad place to start with Goobertown. Let's see. So yeah, backlog battles. Kathy and I, we have a little bit of a joke where we say we can sniff out an engineer a mile away. And Kathy, she'll ask sometimes, somebody will ask a question and she'll say, "You're an engineer, aren't you?" And I'll go, "Well, why?" And she goes, "I can smell it on you." And I'll be like, "What?" And it's just because of the questions that they ask. And there's certain tells. And as soon as the pigment numbers come out and that sort of thing, we say, "Uh-oh, yep, there's an engineer at heart there." Now, some people they want to know. They want to know what it is that they've got. And for me, seeing is believing. I just never really trusted the numbers. I need to see it in front of my face. Which is, well, that's unfortunately one of the reasons why I don't trust any of the swatches that I see on the Dick Blick site, because a lot of times those swatches have nothing to do with what the actual color looks like. So sadly, that means I usually just kind of have to buy the color and then find out, oh yeah, that's no good. And then there's sad face, of course. That's that's never any fun. Now what I am going to do here is real quick just take just some black around the edge here, because again, seeing is believing. I need to make this dark to see just how much lighter I want to make this. Only one way to do that, and that's to just get a little bit of black around that edge here. So just give me a minute or two. Let's see, Uncle Adam. Oh, tabletop minions. That's right. I like the numbers to compare between brands, and well, I know Drex, and you always want to be able to match the when you're working with like acrylics, right? And you got your old Necrons or something like that, or your old Chaos stuff, and you say, well, I want to match this with my oils, and that's where you're breaking out the pigment numbers for that. Now this right here tells me that I don't want to get too much lighter here. See that this is all about context. Because I could keep making all that highlighting and stuff, the object source lighting lighter there, but that would probably be too much. Look at the difference that makes. Huge difference right there. Also, so this one is, that one's already good. We don't need any black. I'm just going to take what's left of this black here, because remember we got to start up this one next. And I'm just going to get some black right here while I've got it. Good enough. That's it. That's going to be handy for later. Let's get that acrylic out of here. Well, unfortunately, the Holbein paints don't have numbers on them. Because we've checked a couple of times. There is, yeah, there's no, well, there might be, but it's not written in any kind of, oh, it's semi-opaque. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is not in a language that I can read. All right, so we're going to set this one aside. It's that time. We are 4 hours, 21 minutes in, so we did both of these roughly in about 2 hours, 10 minutes apiece. Really more like 2 hours apiece, because we've obviously done some asides here. So let's start our third figure now.